Hello everyone, welcome to MeroSiksha. I'm Sharma and I'm with the another subject matter, that is question tags today. So you might be much familiar with what question tag is and how are we supposed to use this, what is the golden rule whenever we are supposed to crack the question tags, right? So what is question tag? Let us find out. So here, question tag. So a question tag or a tag question is a very short clause that is supposed to be placed at the end of the statement provided to us. So it is a very short clause. So question tag is very short clause that comes at the end of the statement, which changes with the presence of the question tag or the tag question. It changes the statement into a question. The thing is, you are provided a statement and you will be presenting a tag question for that particular statement, and adding the tag question, what are you doing? You are changing that particular statement into a question form. Similarly, it can generally be described as a simple statement followed by a question as well. So if you are not able to memorize this particular idea, you can simply say, if somebody happen to ask you what is question tag or what is the role of a tag question, then you can describe it as a simple statement that is followed by a question. And another question is, now why do we use question tag? Why is question tag or the tag question necessary? So this statement is already provided to us, but why are we supposed to place tag question at the tail of the sentence? So because it added a sentence to confirm information or to ask if someone agrees with you. So why we use question tag? We use question tag in order to confirm whether the information provided in the statement is correct or not, or also in order to ask someone whether the person agrees with the statement or not. So the function of the question tag is, first thing is the confirmation, and the another thing is checking whether the person agrees with you or not. So similarly, in order to make a question tag, what do we need? So we need a proper sentence, the sentence along with the subject, verb and the object. A proper sentence is needed, and then we make question tag or the tag question being based on the verb that is provided to us in a sentence. So the thing is, the verb is very necessary. So whenever you are asked to create question tag, make sure that you have to be watchful about the verb that is provided in the statement. Okay, let us move to the another idea now. So what are the rules to be followed whenever we are dealing with the tag questions or the question tag, the questions followed by the tag question tag? So now the first thing is, there should be comma at the end of the sentence and use a question mark at the end. So for example, here if I say it is raining heavily, we are supposed to place comma after the statement. Now here we are supposed to place a tag question of this particular statement, and then after the question tag is presented, we are supposed to put the question mark. So now tell me the answer. What are we supposed to place here? What would be the question tag of this particular statement? So it is raining heavily. Suppose that person A said it is raining heavily. Now what are we supposed to present the question tag for the statement? So yeah, the question tag would be, isn't it, and the question mark. So make sure that you always place comma after the statement, and then after you press the tag question, you're supposed to put the question mark. So now a question tag should begin with small letters. You should be very watchful about these ideas. These are the very small ideas that you should be considering in order to get the proper marks and in order to present your answer with the proper authenticity. So the question tag always begins with a small letter. You are not supposed to present a question tag just because after the comma you are not supposed to present it in a capitalized form. Okay, so always use contracted form of negative auxiliary verbs in a question tag. So if you are to use the negative form of the auxiliary verbs, you're not supposed to use the full one, but rather you're supposed to use the contracted form. For example, if you are to write isn't, is not, you're not supposed to write here is not, you're just supposed to write isn't. The contracted form is to use. Okay, so if you are to write do not, you're not, so if you write this, it will be wrong. You're supposed to write don't. Okay, make sure that whenever you are talking about the negative auxiliary verb, you're supposed to write the contracted form. So moving on to the next idea. Here, if a pronoun is used as the subject, if a pronoun in a statement, if the pronoun is used, use the same pronoun in a question tag. So in a statement, if a pronoun is used in order to create a tag question, you are supposed to use the same pronoun. Okay, moving on. For example, here the statement reads, they don't need to come this evening. Here subject is they, and now while creating a question tag, you are supposed to place this same subject as a pronoun in a tag question, and then you'll be talking about the tag whenever, and then you'll be creating the tag. Okay, so now let us move to the another idea. Now here another thing is, if a noun acts as a subject, so the statement is provided to you, and in that particular statement, if noun is the subject of that particular statement, use a pronoun based on the gender and number in a tag question. So if noun is provided in a statement, what are you supposed to do? You are not supposed to place that particular noun in your tag question, but rather you are supposed to present a tag question being based on the pronoun, that is appropriate pronoun for that particular subject. Okay, here is the example given for you. For example, if the statement reads, James isn't working on that. Here this is noun, right? But we are not supposed to write, whenever we are creating a tag question, we are not supposed to place this noun over here in our tag question. You are supposed to create the pronoun form of this being based on the gender and the number that is used in a subject form. Okay, and here for this particular statement, the pronoun would be he, because James talks about the male counterpart. Now let us move to the another idea. So now here in this table, subjects is provided, the subject that are to appear in our statement, and what are the pronouns that you are supposed to use if these sorts of subjects appear. So first let us start with this and that. If your statement begins with this or that, you are supposed to use it as a pronoun in your tag question. So similarly, if these or those are used, you are supposed to write they as a pronoun in a tag question. Moreover, if the statement begins with, if the subject in a statement begins with something, anything, somebody, nobody, no one, everyone, or the people, you're again supposed to use they in your tag question. Okay. Similarly, now if all plus the singular verb is used in this statement, you are supposed to write it, but if the all is used along with the plural verb, you are supposed to use they. You should be very watchful about these ideas. All plus singular verb it, all plus plural verb they. And then if you and I are presented, you are going to use we as a pronoun in your tag question. So now moving on to the next, this is the mool mantra that you should be much more familiar with if you are going to create a tag question. This is, if the statement is negative, then you are supposed to use positive question tag. If the statement provided to you is in a negative form, then the question tag you are supposed to generate for it must be in a positive form. Similarly, if the statement is in a positive form, then the question tag that you are going to generate is supposed to be in a negative form. So let us go with the example over here. So here the example reads, you had not met me before. Here the statement is in a negative form. How are we supposed to know whether the statement is a negative form or not? you're supposed to look for the verb over here. So here in this particular statement, here this hadn't is auxiliary verb and this mate is the main verb, right? Now here the provided verb is in a negative form. Now whenever we are to generate tag question, we are going to generate it with the positive idea, had you. Now same goes with the positive statement as well. So if the statement is positive here, the statement provided to us is positive, passing us positive insight, then you are supposed to use negative tag question. So it was raining that day, wasn't it? Okay, so whenever you are creating a tag question, you should be very watchful about the verb and the subject provided to you, because whenever you are creating a tag question, you should be creating being based on the verb and the subject provided to you in a statement. So moving on to the next idea. So if there is a modal verb in a sentence, the modal verbs we just read it, that is should, would, could, can, may, must. Use modal verbs to make a tag question. If you are presented, you are provided the modal verbs, then while forming or creating a tag question, you are supposed to use the same modal verb. Clear? For example, you could not help her. You could not help her. So here the question tag would be based on this could. That is, could you? You here the subject becomes the pronoun of the in a quote tag question, and this could becomes the verb. The could becomes the verb over there in tag question. So now sentence having two clauses. Suppose the sentence has two clauses. That, for example, if the sentence begins with I think or I don't think or I suppose or on any other similar expressions, take tag question according to the later clause. You are not going to touch the anything that appears at the first, but rather you are going to look after the clause you are supposed to find out the create a tag question being based on the later clause provided to you. For example, if I say I suppose you are hungry, here being based on this later clause, you are supposed to create a tag question, and here being based on this, our question tag would be aren't you. Clear? Now moving on to the next idea, that is sentence with have, has and had as the main verb. So if a sentence provided to you or a statement provided to you includes these three, has, had and have, use positive and negative form of do verb. If you receive this has, had or had, you are supposed to use either the positive or negative being based on the statement provided to you. You will be using the do form to make a question tag. For example, you have to go. Here we are provided with have. This is the present one, and the statement here is in a positive form. Then while creating a tag question, you are supposed to create negative one, and of course do verb is used, and the negative do verb would be don't you. Similarly, if the sentence with the pronouns such as nothing, often, rarely, nobody should be considered as a negative one. So if you receive these sorts of pronoun like nothing, often, rarely and nobody, consider this as the negative sentence, and you are supposed to use the positive question tag for this particular statement. For example, nothing will help. As per the rule, this nothing is passing us the insight that is negative. So you are supposed to create here a positive question tag. Okay. Now moving on to the next idea, when there are two verbs. So if you are provided with the statement with the two verbs, that is auxiliary verb and the main verb, the question tag should be formed by the auxiliary verb. You should be putting emphasis on the auxiliary verb, and being based on that particular auxiliary verb, you are supposed to create a question tag. For example, they were playing football. Where is the auxiliary verb over here, which is supporting this playing, the main verb? And now in order to create a question tag, you are supposed to look for the auxiliary verb, not the main verb. So here where is passing on the insight that sentence is in a positive form, and now if the sentence is in a positive form, we are supposed to present the negative question tag, right? So the question tag would be weren't they. So now many of us consider this quite difficult, let us and the let's us. It's quite very simple. So let me make you guys clear again. So if the sentence starts with let us, if you receive a sentence with starting with this let us, in this case we use will you. If let and us are provided in a different way, we are supposed to use will as your question tag. For example, let us chat. Our question tag will be, you should not be having any second thought, you're just supposed to present will, and then the pronoun you are to be blessed, and then the question mark. Similarly, if the sentence starts with let's, let with the apostrophe s, in this case we are supposed to use shall we are supposed to use shall. And then let us look for the example. Let's have some fun. Here it's let's. If let's appears, you are supposed to present shall. Okay, and the pronoun will be we. Now let us move to another idea. So here, if there is verb 1 in a statement, if you are provided what, as I have been mentioning this thing since the very beginning, then if the statement appears with the verb 1, then we use do to make a question tag. If there is verb 1 in a statement, make sure that you are supposed to use do in your tag question. But if there is verb 2 or verb 3 in a statement, then we are supposed to use did. If past tense appears, we are supposed to use did to make a question tag. Similarly, if there is verb 4 or the verb 5 in the statement, then you are supposed to use does. If verb 4 and verb 5 appears, you are supposed to use does to make question tag. If verb 2 or verb 3 appears, that is indicating to the idea of past tense, then you are supposed to use did. And if verb 1 appears, and then you are supposed to choose do. So now here are the structures. So these are the structures that makes you guys quite perplexed. So don't be perplexed. So if you get the structure like D plus rather, you are supposed to consider this as this is would not. That is, she would rather write a song. So here, being based on this idea, you are supposed to create a question tag. So if this particular idea occurs, then the question tag would be would not. And being based on the pronoun provided, subject provided, you are supposed to create a pronoun. Similarly, if you are provided with the would plus verb 1, that's again would not. That is, he would visit a doctor. Would not. It is passing us the positive insight. Therefore, the question tag appears in a negative form. So here, if you are provided with the D plus verb 3, then verb 3 is passing us the insight that it is past tense. So that is why you are supposed to consider this as a hadn't. Had plus verb 3. Here, then you are supposed to create hadn't. Okay. So if you are provided with again apostrophe D plus beta, then you should be considering it as again hadn't. Now moving on to next, if S plus verb 4 is presented in a statement, that is C is writing a letter, then it is indicating that it is a present tense. Then you are supposed to consider it as isn't. So if S plus verb 4 is provided to you, then you being based on the essence of the sentence, you need to know in which form, in which tense the sentence is talking. So here the statement is she is playing football. She was playing football yesterday. It is talking about something that already happened in the previous time, yesterday. So we will be writing the question tag wasn't she. So here again S plus property, this is hasn't, and then you are supposed to present the question tag being based on this particular, that is hasn't. And if or plus verb 4, that is aren't, it is indicating to the idea that it's present form, and then you are supposed to present your question tag in this way. So I hope I made you guys clear. Thank you.